super clipping, terms like that people have come to hear and not really understand. Formula One has to be accountable for that. It's really interesting because I think when you work in Formula One and you're going from week to week and you're saying goodbye to your family and you're flying to the other side of the world and you're in a hotel and your time zones, you're working, you become on this treadmill, but you're working within the sport that you enjoy and you want to see it thrive. And I think that when there's negativity around that environment, sport that you're working in, it becomes very hard. You become laboured. You almost do one of two things. You either join the pylon and you write about how negative it is, which is not great for your outlook on life, or you try and get your shield and try and defend against what seems like a baying mob who are just criticising externally. And, you find yourself in those two extremes. You're trying to support Formula One or you're trying to do it down. I think that I find myself now in this strange hybrid situation of being in the middle and having perspective. I can see what's going wrong. I can see the good bits of Formula One. I've enjoyed the racing, but I can also see the negativity and I can also see why people aren't relating to it. And, I said this at the start about how Formula One has introduced the regulations, which they've just changed too much overnight. I don't know how they fix it. That's not my job. I felt that they did change too much. The parlance and the terms that we're using is alien to probably about 80 to 90% of the audience, which we were catering to last year. Super clipping, terms like that people have come to hear and not really understand. Formula One has to be accountable for that. That said, I am enjoying some of the racing that's going on. There are overtakes, there are changes for the lead. Yes, they might be artificial because they're using battery power, but then DRS was artificial for me. So I just see it as an extension of that. I think we need to be in a situation that we realise we've only had 3 races. We need to give it a little bit more time. Those 3 races have been on the other side of the world. It's been always a test for teams to go down under for the first one, to logistically get there, and perform at your best operationally. I don't think that we should be judging these new sets of regulations until the European season has started, maybe even midway through the European season, before we actually really do a deep dive and think about making the changes. Yes, if there's safety reasons, the slow closing speeds, maybe that's something that we can look at. But I do think that it's far too knee-jerk at the moment to go in and rip up the rule book.
I do understand the complaints, but I also saw, laughably to me, after being through the trauma as it was when it first was introduced, somebody say, bring back DRS. Like, that's the level. And I feel it became so synonymous with Formula One and even the junior categories below it that DRS has just became a part of motorsport. That I remember that wasn't the case. DRS was hated just as much as this, and that's where I feel that knee-jerk reaction would be so counter to what Formula One was trying to achieve.
It was the same with the sound of Formula One cars when they ditched and moved to the hybrid cars. I remember there was a big outcry about how people have lost the sound and, it's lost its identity. It may have done, but, we were left with something which actually would go on to become arguably more popular than it had been in the past in terms of TV audiences and viewers, and certainly younger audience. It just evolves. It just moves forward into something different, doesn't it? And that's why I think that, yes, people are resistant to change, but we just need to appreciate what we've got at the moment and stop having this knee-jerk, something must be done immediately. That sort of approach just seems a little bit too far after only 3 races into this new formula.
I feel it's a perfect way to bookend this episode of talking about how you don't know when the good times are good, and when you're in them, you have to wait until it's over, which is exactly what happened at Red Bull.
I was just going to say, it's very much like the Red Bull scenario, isn't it? You don't realise how good you've got it until it's taken away.
I'm sure we'll talk about it at some point soon, because F1 Paddock Update will be back next week to go through all of the latest goings on. We might have some news from F1's meetings. We might have some more news about what's going to be going on with GP and Stella, and is he going to Ferrari? Who knows? There's so much going on in a time when Formula One isn't going on. But let us know your comments below if you have anything you'd like us to talk about, because a lot of subjects we can dive into while we have this lovely breathing space. But thank you so much for all of your support. Please like, comment and subscribe, and we'll be back next time.